Commissioner Adelsman, Commissioner Hamada,
Here.
Commissioner Herring,
Here.
Commissioner Cartonis,
Here.
Commissioner Coas,
Here.
Commissioner Sasaki, Chair Lonis.
May I have a motion for an excused absence for Chair Lonis and Commissioner Adelsman?
Second.
Commissioner Hamada,
Yes.
Commissioner Herring,
Yes.
Commissioner Cartonis, yes. Commissioner Coas,
Yes.
Commissioner Sasaki.
Yes.
Thank you. We will now move to the flag salute. If everyone could please stand. May I have the report of the posting of the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair, the agenda was posted by the City Clerk's office on February 25th, 2026.
Thank you. Are there any withdrawn, deferred, and/or supplemental items?
There are none.
Thank you. Oral communications. This portion of the meeting is reserved for comment on items not under the consent, on items under the consent calendar or items that are not on the agenda, but may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed, request clarification, or refer the item to staff. Speakers under this public comment period will have no longer than 2 minutes per speaker. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Seeing none, move on to the consent calendar. We will now consider the consent calendar. Matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed by a commissioner from the consent calendar and considered separately. Is there anyone from the commission who would like to be heard? I will take a motion for the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar. I second.
Commissioner Hamada,
Yes.
Commissioner Herring,
Yes.
Commissioner Cartonis, yes. Commissioner Sasaki,
Yes.
Madam Chair Coas.
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to administrative matters, there is no business to consider. So that brings us to hearings. Now is the time, date, and place to hear the appeal of discipline filed by a police officer. The hearing is confidential under Penal Code 832.7 and Copley Press versus Superior Court 39 Cal 4th, 1272, 2006. California Government Code Section 54957B1 provides that consideration of public employee discipline will be conducted in a closed session unless the employee requests to have the hearing in open session. The police officer received notice of their right to have this hearing in an open session. Counsel for the employee confirmed the request for an open hearing at the pre-hearing conference on July 31st, 2025. This hearing is a continuation of the hearing of Police Officer Julian Vazquez, which will be conducted in open session as requested by the employee. Before we begin the hearing, we will take public comments. Please note, we anticipate this hearing to span multiple hearing nights, and each member of the public will only be given one opportunity to comment on this item, meaning if you have previously commented, that you cannot comment again, and if you comment tonight, you cannot comment on this item at a future hearing date. If there is anyone from the public who would like to be heard, please raise your hand at this time. Anyone who has their hand raised, if you'd like to come down to the podium, and we'll be giving you 2 minutes each to speak. Go ahead.
If you would like to state your name for the record.
Yes, Carolina Brown. So I have known Julian Vazquez since he was 7 years old. Julian is the son of my best friend and her husband, whom I have known for more than 20 years. Julian comes from an upstanding family, and he has been instilled with strong morals and values since he was a little boy. Honesty, integrity, faith, a strong work ethic, dedication, and strong family ties are all values that embody this young man. He now has his own family with a loving wife, a young son, and a baby girl. Ever since he was a little boy, Julian dreamed of learning to fly a plane and to become a police officer like his father. And he worked very hard to accomplish his goals. As an adult, he accomplished his dream of obtaining his pilot's license and his dream of being hired by the Torrance Police Department. His primary career goals have always been to serve the public and protect the innocent in his professional capacity as a police officer. As a lifelong Torrance resident, we need more officers like Julian Vazquez protecting our streets and our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is David Peterson. I'm a retired LA County Deputy Sheriff. I've known Julian for 20 years also. And my speech would mirror the speech of the statements from the last speaker. I've known Julian since he was about 6, when he used to do a little hatching out of an egg as a T-Rex by tucking his head into his t-shirt, his arms and his knees, and come out. And that was my first memory of it. I've known the man's character before he was a police officer. I've known the man's character before he was a park ranger for the city of Torrance. I first got a glimpse of it when he was an explorer at Lomita Station. I also was an explorer at Lomita Station in the early 80s. That's where I started my career. And I understand his desire to go into law enforcement. It was instilled in me early on, even before I was an explorer, but it's in his heart. The character I've seen in that man is honesty, integrity. He's hardworking, ambitious, goal-driven. As mentioned about his pilot's license, if he desires to do something, he does it. Now, he would never, as I know his character, do anything or act in a way that would bring dishonor to him, his family, or the Torrance Police Department. And I believe, from what I've heard in these hearings, that it's out of character for him. I can't believe it is his character. That I don't believe what has been said about him, and I'm sorry to choke a little bit, but I'll leave it at that. I want him patrolling my streets. 2 of the incidents here, one of them was within view of my house in Torrance, southeast Torrance. The other one was 2 blocks from my daughter's house, where my granddaughters live, and my daughter and my son. So I want that man. I want that man policing the city, protecting my loved ones.
Thank you. All parties from the previous hearing dates are present. Police Officer Julian Vazquez is represented by Tom Yu. The Police Department is represented by Nicholas Grether. Formal rules of evidence need not apply. However, the Commission shall exclude incompetent, irrelevant, and immaterial evidence. Any procedural requests or motions should have been made before the hearing, but the committee will consider request or motion that was not evident until after the hearing has begun. Does either party have a request or motion? Mr. Grether?
Yes, I have one issue to bring up to the commission. I informed Tom, Mr. Yu, as well as Ms. Cohen. I'm going to be likely to be in trial. It is starting in March, so the 30th will no longer work as a hearing date. But I would just propose that we maybe have like an informal pre-hearing or mid-hearing conference or something of the like to discuss additional dates. Doesn't look like we're going to wrap up on that date anyway, but just wanted to let the commission know.
Mr. Yu?
I'll submit.
Okay. So, Ms. Cohen?
Thank you. Chair Coas, yes, I will reach out to the parties to schedule a time we can discuss additional hearing nights. Mr. Grether, are you officially requesting a continuance for March 30th? Or are you wanting to see, once we get a little closer, if that continuance will be needed?
I would officially request a continuance, yes.
Thank you. And just to confirm, with that official request, Mr. Yu, do you object to the request for continuance?
Not if counsel representing he's in trial. I mean, there's nothing for me to object on. But I think we do have one more hearing date on March 9th. Am I correct on that?
That is correct.
Okay.
And both parties are still available for next Monday, March 9th.
I'm going to be available, yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you both.
So, and are we vacating the 13th of April as well, since counsel is in trial beginning of April, or what do we?
We tentatively have the 13th of April for findings I apologize, no, was that to, if needed, have closing. We had that, I think, tentatively on our calendars, not officially on the commission's calendar. Looking at that date, we can discuss that now or during our offline call to set additional dates. We can re-explore that date.
Could I just confer with counsel for 2 seconds?
Of course.
Would it make sense to take a recess while we discuss the dates?
Just 2 minutes, please.
Okay.
Come back on the record. Mr. Greco, please state the name of your witness.
Yes, Lieutenant Kent Crumbaugh.
Thank you. I will now swear in the witness. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now pending before the Civil Service Commission, so help you?
Yes.
Please state and spell your name for the court reporter.
First name's Kent, K-E-N-T. Last name is Crumbaugh, K-R-U-M-B-A-C-H.
A certified court reporter is taking a verbatim record of the proceedings. This is a gentle reminder to everyone to please pause in between someone talking before you start talking. If two people speak at the same time, it is difficult to differentiate what each person is saying. It is important to have a clean and accurate record.
So please keep this in mind during the meeting. If we notice that people are speaking at the same time, myself, staff, or legal counsel for the commission may interject to ensure a clean and accurate record.
It's not loud enough.
I will just need you to project your voice, but we'll also see if we can work with the volume of it.
Mr. Grether, you may begin with your direct examination of this witness.
Thank you. Lieutenant Crumbach, are you currently employed?
Yes.
And by whom?
Torrance Police Department.
And how long have you worked for the Torrance Police Department?
I'm in my 19th year.
And what is your current assignment?
I'm a lieutenant assigned to patrol.
And how long have you been in that assignment?
2 months.
And can you briefly describe your assignments with the department prior to that?
How far back would you like me to go?
Where were you assigned in 2023 and 2024?
I was assigned to internal affairs, which is currently it's in the professional standards division.
And how long were you in the professional standards division?
Approximately 2.5 years.
And what was your rank at that time?
I was a sergeant.
And when did you get promoted to lieutenant?
The end of December of 2025.
And during your time in professional standards, how many investigations did you conduct during that time?
I would say I personally handled about 75 administrative investigations.
And as a sergeant in the professional standards division, what are your responsibilities?
Primarily, it's to investigate allegations of employee misconduct. That can be done through citizen complaints, when a citizen comes to the station, files a personnel complaint, eventually finds its way to my desk at the time, which I would investigate. Additionally, there's internal complaints, so an employee at the organization would potentially feel that a policy violation or procedural violation could have occurred. Again, that personnel complaint would get drafted and find its way to my desk, further investigated. Additionally, there was, for the beginning of my time in internal affairs, I handled a lot of claims, so claims for damages against the city, discovery requests related to personnel matters or ongoing litigation.
Do you recall an officer named Julian Vazquez?
Yes.
And did you ever supervise Officer Vazquez?
There may have been 1 or 2 shifts in patrol where I may have had some exposure to him. And from a supervisory standpoint, that would be the extent of it.
So you were never assigned to supervise him?
Not to my knowledge, other than what I've just indicated.
And then did you ever serve as his field training officer?
No.
And did you conduct any personnel investigations relating to Julian Vazquez?
Yes.
And do you recall how many?
I believe I handled 3.
And we can take each one of those separately. First, do you recall, do you recall an investigation known as PD 2023-009?
Yes.
And do you recall what that investigation was about generally?
Yes. Lieutenant Fisher processed a personnel complaint pertaining to a use of force in which Officer Vazquez was involved in. I believe he drafted that personnel complaint on November 25th, 2023. And I investigated it shortly thereafter.
I'd like to show the witness what's been previously marked as Exhibit 7 and the digital only exhibits. PD 2023-009 summary of investigation. You could go to page 82.
Pulling that exhibit up now.
page 83. And Lieutenant Crumbach, do you recognize that document?
Yes,
And what is that document?
that is the personnel complaint form associated with that investigation you mentioned, PD 2023-009.
And you mentioned Lieutenant Fisher has submitted that. What were his complaints on the complaint form?
He was doing an administrative review, and during the review process from a patrol incident, he observed Officer Vazquez involved in a use of force. And based on that review, he wanted further investigation done related to the force that was used.
And did anyone assign the investigation to you?
Yes. My boss at that time was Lieutenant Chance, and based on, for routing purposes, personnel complaints go to the lieutenant. That division I was assigned it, and then from there they get assigned to an investigator, and that investigator was myself.
And we'll go through the steps you took in your investigation. Did you review the arrest report?
Yes.
And if you'll, there should be a binder in front of you, the larger one, Exhibit 13.
Yes.
And do you recognize that document?
Yes, this was a supplemental report Officer Vazquez wrote pertaining to that personal complaint we're talking about, PD 2023-009.
And in the arrest report, Officer Vazquez identified a use of force.
Yes, his report does document that he used force on the arrestee.
Okay. And you reviewed that as part of your investigation?
Correct.
Okay. What other steps did you take in your investigation of this matter?
I guess kind of chronologically, a review of the personnel complaints is probably the first thing that normally occurs from an investigator standpoint. There's usually an associated DR or incident number. So after reviewing the personnel complaint and looking at what the allegations are for potential misconduct, look into the DR, understand and review not only the main narrative report, but any associated supplemental reports, as well as reviewing the dispatch log, commonly referred to as CAD. Looking at any other supporting documents, pictures that are attached to the call, like any evidence that is attached to the call. Reviewing body-worn camera footage that's relevant, in-car camera footage that's relevant. Sometimes we look at if the case was filed, if there's a criminal aspect to it. Related to the personal investigation, we look at follow-up investigation maybe our detectives would have done on the incident. Potentially looking at the criminal adjudication of it. Additionally, we speak with witnesses. We speak with, and that includes witnesses. We speak with witnesses, we speak with subject officers of the investigation. Sometimes we bring in department experts if they need to provide context or clarity to the investigation where they may have more experience.
And then, did you conduct any interviews?
Yes.
And who did you interview?
From the best of my memory, I'm going chronological order. Spoke with Sergeant Wells, I believe, first. Following that, I believe I spoke with Sergeant Koenig, Officer Lopez, Officer Wolf. might be out of order, but I spoke with Officer Kamishki, and then I spoke with Officer Vazquez. Those are the internal employees that we spoke to.
Okay. And did you interview anyone else?
Yes, we spoke, there was an arrestee for this incident. We did a telephonic interview with him.
And as part of your investigation, do you review any department policies?
Yes.
Okay. And as a police officer for the department, are you required to be familiar with the Torrance PD manual?
Yes.
And are you required to comply with the policies?
Yes.
And are officers required to, are other officers in the department required to do so as well?
Yes.
And do you know, is there any way to know if they have reviewed a particular policy?
We have acknowledgements, electronic acknowledgements done through Lexipol, which provides our policies. That would be one way to verify if an employee is reviewing the acknowledgements from Lexipol for a certain employee would be one way to verify if an employee is approved or acknowledged the applicable policy or policies.
First, I would just offer Exhibit 13 into evidence to the extent it's not already in. And then Lieutenant Krumbach, could you take a look at Exhibit 14? And if you look at page 1 there, do you recognize that document?
Yes, this is an email I sent to our training coordinator at the time, Natalie Blumfeld.
And on the bottom there, on February 26th of 2024, you asked about Lexipol Policy 300.3.7. Is that right?
Yes.
And you asked when it was effective?
Yes.
And when Officer Julian Vazquez acknowledged that policy?
Yes, I did ask that.
Okay. And what was the response that you got? Or did you get a response, I guess?
Yeah, Ms. Blumfield indicated that with regard to the first question, specifically when policy 300.3.7 was effective, her response was there was no way of checking when that specific update was made. She did have an assumption, which was in the year 2021.
And then did she have a response as to when Officer Vazquez acknowledged receiving that policy?
I don't see one on this document.
Okay. If I could just direct you to the right side of the page there under issue date.
I'm sorry,
Issue date.
There's two dates issued, April 29th, 2021, as well as December 30th, 2001. It does indicate policy number 300 for both of those dates. The 300 series is generally our use of force. So the subsection of 300.3.7, I guess would fall under the umbrella of policy 300.
And again, to the extent it's not already in, I would ask that Exhibit 14 be introduced into evidence.
No objection.
Are officers at the Torrance Police Department required to be familiar with updates to the policy manual?
Yes.
And I believe you mentioned how they're advised of updates. Is that electronically?
Yes.
And how does that work?
For all employees of the organization, you'll get an electronic email essentially indicating that there's, once you log, let me go back. When you log into Lexipol, it's kind of bifurcated on the home screen for daily training bulletins, I believe to the right-hand side, and then policy updates to the left. Once you acknowledge your updates on the left, they disappear from the screen.
And if an officer doesn't acknowledge it, are they still required to be familiar with the policy updates?
I would assume so, but that probably is outside internal affairs job purview.
And are you familiar with policy 300?
Yes, that's our general use of force policy.
And to your knowledge, has that policy section been updated over the years?
Yes.
And if I could direct you to Exhibit 4 in the binder as well. Looks like the first 11 pages. Are you familiar with that policy?
Yeah, as I look at this document, it looks similar, at least at first glance, to what our use of force policy would contain.
And if you could look at page 5. And is policy section 300.3.7 on that document?
Yes, it is on page 5.
And do the Lexipol policies have dates on them?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Okay. If you were to look at a particular Lexipol policy, would you see an effective date on there?
Usually not. There might be some exceptions with like assembly bills or something that may come through that change, for example, the use of force policy, potentially. That could make it, the year could be included. But I would say the vast majority of the time there's not a year attached.
If we could go to if we could go back to page Exhibit 7, that same document. And if we could go to page 74. And more generally, and we can look through it if you would like. Do you recognize this document? It's 284 pages. Might be helpful to show page 1.
It's fine. I recognize the document. It's the draft report related to PD 2023 WLA.
Okay. And on page 74, there's a policy listed there. Do you see that?
Yes.
And that's policy 300.3.7?
That's correct.
And going back to Exhibit 4, is that the same language in Exhibit 4 on page 5?
Yeah, at first glance, it does appear to be the same.
And then I would offer the exhibit, oh, sorry, back up a second. Did you review any videos as part of your investigation into PD 2023-009?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe you mentioned those included body cam footage?
Body cam footage was analyzed as well as in-car camera footage. And of note, the in-car camera footage is kind of separated into two. There's the forward-facing in-car camera footage. So you can imagine when an officer pulls over a vehicle, it's essentially the view from the windshield of the officer's unit going forward. So oftentimes you'll see the traffic violator or what have you in front of the unit. And then we also have, it's still classified as in-car camera, but we have rear view in-car camera, which captures the back seat as well.
And if we could go to, actually we could go to Exhibit 17. It's a video.
Would you like that from the day?
Yes, if you could play it. And I guess with the same admonition about if there's anyone in the audience who's sensitive to language, there's some poor language. So.
Before we show the video, can we also have the parties stipulate whether we need the court reporter to dictate?
So stipulated, no need to dictate.
Thank you.
Give us one moment. We'll start from the beginning. For the record, that stopped at 47 seconds.
And do you recall reviewing that video in your investigation?
Yes.
Okay. And in reviewing that video, how did that assist in your investigation?
Well, we had a recorded video of the incident to accompany full audio. And the video was within the immediate proximity of where the incident occurred.
Okay. And did the video show the use of force?
Yes.
And did it show Officer Vazquez placing his hands on the neck or throat of the suspect?
Yes.
More than once?
Yes.
And at the conclusion of your investigation, did you draft a report?
Yes.
And that was PD 2023-009, summary of investigation that we were looking at in Exhibit 7, right?
Correct.
And if we could go back to that document to page 70. There it mentions the word conclusion. See that?
Yes.
And you drafted this report, right?
The whole report, is that your question?
Yeah, you drafted this, the whole report, right?
Yeah, I authored it.
Okay. And you drafted this conclusion section. And what is the purpose of the conclusion section?
This was, oftentimes I should say, the conclusion serves to, as concisely as possible, summarize the policies that were analyzed through the investigation. It kind of separates the body of the report, which can include more information for the reader. The conclusion kind of serves to concisely address and isolate the evidence for the applicable policy sections.
And for this investigation, you analyzed policy 300.3?
Yes.
And in analyzing in your investigation and analyzing that policy section, what is your responsibility in drafting this conclusion for that policy section?
Specifically with regards to 300.3, our general use of force, internal affairs, oftentimes investigators serve as a project manager to a certain extent. We interview the witnesses, we interview the subject officers, we analyze digital film, pictures, video, we listen to auditory sounds on the body-worn camera. We solicit expert advice, and we consolidate those evidentiary sources at the end. So we're kind of more just like a project manager, taking bits and pieces from different portions of the investigation, documenting it on paper.
And do you make any findings as to whether a particular policy is violated?
Internal affairs does not do findings, nor do we do discipline.
And then if we go to the next, that's page 74. And did you also analyze policy section 300.3.7?
Yes.
And if we go to page 75. Did you also analyze policy 300.5?
Yes.
And then to page 77, please. And then did you also take a look at policy or analyze policy 300.5.1?
Correct.
And then at the bottom of the page, there on page 77, to confirm that that has to do with an investigation of another officer whose name is redacted.
I'm sorry.
Whose name is redacted?
Yes.
And then if we can go to page 80. And do you recognize that signature? Or either signature?
I recognize my signature.
And You signed this document?
That's correct.
And then what do you do after you sign the report?
The report's obviously printed off. What signature goes on the bottom line? It's kind of like the last sequence of events. And then from there, the report gets handed to my superior at the time, who was Lieutenant Chance. And following that, it further goes up the chain for review and analysis.
And then I would offer Exhibit 7 into evidence, if it's not already, so.
No objection.
And Lieutenant Cronbach, are you familiar with training bulletins?
Yes.
And if you could go to Exhibit 29 there in the binder. And have you seen that document before?
I have.
And what is that document?
Periodically, the department will push out new training notices and bulletins. And for the record, these are actually different than lexical acknowledgements. Sometimes the Torrance Police Department Training Bulletin, which is the document we're looking at here and talking about, these documents are pushed out following legislation that passes in Sacramento that immediately affects law enforcement in the scope of their duties.
And what did you understand the content of this particular training bulletin to be?
Well, there were several updates following a couple assembly bills. There's actually two that were referenced. However, AB Assembly Bill 26. My apologies, I spoke out of turn. There's two assembly bills that were passed, AB 26 and AB 490. In response to the passing of Assembly Bill 490, our TPD policy section for the use of force was indicated it was updated. 300, which is our use of force policy, our general use of force policy. However, it indicated that in response to the passing of AB 490, the use of force policy has been updated to include prohibitions on the chokehold.
And were there additional prohibitions on positional asphyxia?
Yes.
And were there restrictions on a carotid restraint?
Yes.
And then, as you mentioned, there's a restriction on use of a chokehold, correct?
Correct.
And on page 2 there, does it provide a definition of what a chokehold is?
According to this document, chokehold would be defined as any defensive tactic or force option in which direct pressure is applied to a person's trachea or windpipe.
All right. I would offer Exhibit 29.
Okay.
And during your investigation, did you interview? You stated that you interviewed Officer Vazquez?
Yes.
Okay. And was that interview recorded?
Yes.
And was that interview transcribed?
Yes.
Okay. And can I have you go to Exhibit 15 there in the binder? And do you recognize that document?
Yes.
And what is that document?
This was the recorded transcripts from the interview with Officer Vazquez related to this investigation.
And I would offer Exhibit 15 into evidence.
Okay.
And after you completed the report, did you include any other documents or other files along with your report?
Counsel for the commission?
I'll withdraw. Lieutenant Crumbach, could we look at page 1 of that PD 2023-09 summary? Of Exhibit 7, yes. Yes, sir. And could we look at page 1?
To confirm, Mr. Guthrie, the first page of the document, the table of contents, or contents are the first page of the document.
Yes, the table of contents. And Lieutenant Crumbach, do you see the documents and other information listed there in the table of contents?
Yes.
And were those all included with your report?
Those were included as supplemental items with my report that we talked about.
And did the supplemental items also include body-worn camera?
What do you mean?
Were the files reviewed, the body-worn camera footage and in-car camera footage part of your report?
Yes, I summarized several body-worn camera videos, as well as in-car camera videos into the narrative of my report.
And then ultimately your report was signed off on by a supervisor?
Yes.
And were you consulted regarding any discipline?
No.
And did you testify or provide any summary for this administrative conference or any?
For like a Skelly?
Yeah.
No.
And you mentioned there was multiple internal affairs investigations that you conducted related to Julian Vazquez?
Correct.
Do you recall the investigation number P 2023-048?
Yes.
And what was the nature of that investigation?
That investigation was started following a claim the city received, which was related to an arrest Officer Vazquez handled with a individual named Brandon Correa. The claim was seeking damages, financial damage, or was seeking damages. It indicated there was a false arrest, an illegal search, and an illegal detention. So a complaint was opened up and I investigated it.
And if we could go to Exhibit 12, there's a document entitled Claim Form. Correa Claim Form. you recognize that document?
Yes.
Scroll to page 2. And is this the claim form you were referring to?
Yes.
And then if we could exit that and go to files called complaint form P2023-048. P2023-048. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And what is that document?
As mentioned, we received a claim for damages. I believe we received it on December 7th, 2023. Following that, Lieutenant Chance opened up a personnel complaint. It's listed as a citizen complaint with a P number rather than a PD. However, it does speak to the allegations that were made in the claim regarding illegal arrest, illegal search. I'm sorry, false arrest, illegal search, and illegal detention.
And what steps did you take in your investigation of this?
Quite similar to the previous investigation that we spoke about. Reviewed the claim form, reviewed the personnel complaint that Lieutenant Chance drafted, started to look at body-worn camera footage if it existed, not only from Officer Vazquez, but for additional officers. The same can be said for in-car camera footage. Reviewed dispatch logs, radio communications. Did inquiries with the detective follow-up on this arrest, as well as the criminal prosecution and filing of it. We attempted to speak with who would be the complainant. And then we finally finished our investigation by speaking with Officer Vazquez.
And if we could go into Exhibit 12 under Axon videos. And it's the first one, Axon Body 3 Video 2023-06-04_1624_X60AA9315.
Just got this one? Yeah, listen, so you must have just got this like what, a week ago? I got it the day before I was supposed to get started. I got it on the 31st. Okay, so what probably happens is the DMV, when it goes to them, sometimes they take a while for example. Right. Okay. You have a probation, man?
No, nothing, man. I'm actually an actor. I mind my own business.
You're an actor?
There's that TV show, This Fool?
This fool.
This Fool on Hulu? It's comedy, all Mexican people. That little short guy is maybe 20, man.
Yeah.
You ever seen it?
No, I haven't seen it. I think I'm pretty sure I've seen it on my
This
YouTube.
Fool, man, it's hilarious. I'm on that show, I'm on that TV show called Hot Block.
On my blog?
I'm on that show too.
Yeah?
See it?
Yeah, I've seen it on my blog.
Remember like the first episode was probably the most memorable when I was trying to get that kid to shoot that black guy.
Yeah.
At the bathroom. He was getting a big 6 line.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I've been doing acting for like a long time, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What's your idea, boss? Yeah. Where you live at? Still live right here in Cypress and Lomita?
Yeah.
Alright. Can you help out for me? We're gonna go over here to the sidewalk. I don't wanna get to the left of that car.
You just take 1 minute?
No, you're not 10 minutes.
10 minutes? I'll have 10 minutes.
1 minute, come here.
Oh, man.
Let me take you down really fast.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So going back in this, you're gonna make a break. Make a break.
Is something wrong?
No, nothing wrong. You checking on the stuff? I am. Where'd you get those samples at? You just built this whole house over here. Got everything. I've been paying 45, and that's fine. I'm asking, man, like I said, I'm Mexican. Thank you, Mr. Hey. Yeah. Thank you, Probably thank you. So far, it's cooperative. Oh man, I haven't had this done in a long time, dude. Yeah. Too long, man. I'm too old for this. Scoot down just a little bit more. It's not gonna take long, right? No, I'm gonna take long. Everything's good.
That's 4 minutes and 9 seconds.
And Lieutenant Crumbach, did you review that video as part of your investigation?
Yes.
Did you also review any audio transmissions?
Yes.
And prior to Officer Vazquez ordering the suspect out of the car, he was informed that the individual was a self-admitted gang member.
Dispatch did come back after Officer Vazquez indicated he was going to be doing a traffic stop with that vehicle, with some local premise history regarding Mr. Correa, and that was broadcast on our radio frequency.
And in your investigation, were there any discovered allegations?
Yes. It was the pat-down search policy.
And was Officer Vazquez interviewed about this traffic stop?
Yes.
If you could go to page 20, or sorry, exhibit 25, in the binder there. And do you recognize that document?
Yes, this is my interview with Officer Vazquez related to P 2023-048.
And you had that interview recorded?
Recorded and transcribed.
Then I would offer Exhibit 25 into evidence. And during the interview, did you ask Officer Vazquez about the pat-down?
Yes.
And did he acknowledge any training?
Oh, what do you mean?
Sure. Did you ask him about his training on conducting pat-down searches of subjects?
Yes.
And what did he say about that?
He said usually our officers are instructed that we should have a partner present.
And in your investigation, was there any other individual present during the pat-down search?
Other than Mr. Correa, no.
And Officer Vazquez had asked the subject to get out of the car, correct? Is that right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. And if we can go to, it's in Exhibit 12. It's entitled P 2023-048 Final Case Summary, redacted. to page 3 of the PDF. And Lieutenant Crumbach, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And if we go to page 20, is that your signature there?
Yes.
If we go to the bottom of page 15, and under their conclusion, does that represent your factual findings in this investigation?
Yes.
And did you draft this report?
Correct.
And is it a true and accurate, is the report true and accurate?
To the best of my ability.
And as part of the file, did you include any videos, arrest reports, the other documents or files that you reviewed?
Those data sources would have been analyzed within the narrative of my report.
And so for that, I'll offer Exhibit 12 into evidence. And then after you completed your report, were your findings signed off by a supervisor?
Yeah, my report was submitted to Lieutenant Chancellor.
And were you consulted on any discipline for this matter?
No,
And did you testify or provide a summary for the Skelly hearing?
I did not.
All right. Thank you, Lieutenant. I have no further questions.
Mr. Yu, before we begin your cross-examination, would it be okay to take a recess?
Absolutely.
For about 10 minutes? Okay, so we'll come back at 7:30.
We are ready.
We're going to go back on the record. Mr. Yu, you can begin your cross-examination.
Thank you very much. Good evening, sir. I want to go back to a little bit of what you testified on with training, okay? I understand that you essentially took out some of the trainings that Officer Vazquez had in relationship to the updated Torrance Department policy, use of force policies. Is that right?
Mr. Yu, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Can you turn your mic on? Thank you.
Sure. Better. Okay. Lieutenant, let me just re-ask the question. I understand that during the course of your investigation, you sought out some specific policies that Officer Vazquez was trained on, and in fact, there were some policies that you're inquiring whether or not he signed for on Torrance PD policy 300. Is that right?
With regard to 300.3.7, yes.
That's the use of force, right?
The 300.3.7 is the prohibition on chokehold.
Right. And my question is, on Exhibit 29, which you had, there were some kind of bulletin that was sent out to officers. Is that right?
Yes.
And the date on that was, I think, December 30th, 2021?
Correct.
Okay. So on that date, there was a bulletin that was sent out, and you got that bulletin, correct, as part of your investigation?
I had to go through our catalog of daily training bulletins that go out yearly to find this one.
Okay. During your inquiry, sir, did you find out whether or not Officer Vazquez was made aware of that bulletin?
I was not.
Okay. But to be fair, I think in your earlier testimony in Exhibit 14, you indicated that you emailed somebody at the police department and ascertained that on December 30th, 2021, Officer Vazquez received an updated manual of TPD Policy 300. Is that right?
That would have been the issue date.
Right. So on the issue date, Officer Vazquez acknowledged December 30th, 2021, correct?
I'm not following this reading.
Sure. You have Exhibit 14 in front of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'll wait till everybody is there. Okay. On Exhibit 14, there's essentially 2 columns of updated acknowledgement of the TPD policy manual, correct?
Yes.
All right. One was an earlier version, April 29, 2021, correct?
That's correct.
And the second one is December 30th, 2021, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Those are the 2 updated versions that my client, Officer Vazquez, received, right?
According to this email.
Well, Natalie Bloomfield worked for the Torrance PD, correct?
Yes.
And she was the person, in essence, in charge of looking at whether or not Julian Vazquez acknowledged a particular training?
Yes, that's who I solicited the question to.
Right, okay. Well, why don't you turn to Exhibit 4. Can we publish that, by the way, Ms. Cohen? Exhibit 4, is there a way you can do that on your screen?
Yes, we can make that visible.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'll wait till all the commissioners are in Exhibit 4, and that's a 71-page document. I just want to draw your attention to page 1. Are you there?
Page 1?
Page 1 of Exhibit 4. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Ms. Cohen, if you can please publish that Exhibit 4 on page 1. Okay. And can you please scroll down, Ms. Cohen, to the section, and it's pretty small font, where it says Copyright Lexipol LLC. If you could just blow that up for me. Okay, outstanding. And Lieutenant, Lexipol is the company that provides the police department policies to Torrance PD, correct?
Yes.
In other words, you folks at Torrance PD, you don't write your own policy. You take it from this company, correct?
I think that we have some discretion on what policy, the final policies how they look.
Okay.
That's outside something I can testify to.
No problem. But this specific Torrance PD policy 300, that was made in effect on May 30th, 2023, correct?
I don't know what the copyright indicates for Lexipol for May 30th, 2023. I do not know what that is reference to.
Okay. You didn't find out whether or not that's the effective date?
No, sir.
Do you have any idea what May 30th, 2023 means?
No, sir.
Did you find out by asking some experts or your superior what May 30th, 2023 means?
No, sir.
Is that the effective date of this policy, sir? Do you know one way or another?
I do not know.
The email that you got where Julian Vazquez acknowledged the updated policy on
December 30th, 2021, did you make any determination, one way or another, to connect the dots between what he acknowledged to what's before you in exhibit number 4?
I just solicited our record keeper for policy, for training. And those were the results from the previous exhibit that she came back with.
I understand.
I'm not sure I'm following your...
Let me ask you another one, okay? In exhibit 14, you asked Ms. Bloomfield, hey, did Julian Vazquez acknowledge the newly updated policy, correct?
Yes.
And she replied, yes, on December 30th, 2021, there was an acknowledgement to this newly updated policy, use of force policy, correct?
She indicated that it appeared that he acknowledged it twice. Once was that April 29th, 2021 date, and once was December 30th, 2021.
So my question, Lieutenant, is when you asked Ms. Bloomfield, hey, Julian Vazquez acknowledged the policy dated December 30th, 2021, my question is, did you make any determination if what Julian Vazquez acknowledged on December 30th, 2021 is the version that we're looking at before us on Exhibit 4? Did you do that, yes or no?
I don't know. However, I'm sorry, I'm not understanding your question.
Okay, let's do it again. Did you make any determination of what Julian Vazquez acknowledged in December of 2021 is what we're looking at on Exhibit 4 here in our screen? Did you make any determination to connect the dots, yes or no?
Again, I solicited our in-house record keeper for policy updates to see if Officer Vazquez acknowledged policy 300.3.7. She indicated that there was no way of checking the specific update made in Lexipol. However, her best guess was that it was in 2021 when the release notes for the suspension of the chokehold came out.
Okay, so I'm not asking for guesses because we're not in the business to guess. Okay, so let me repeat my question. If it's no, we'll take it. If it's yes, we'll take it. Okay? When you emailed Ms. Bloomfield, we're doing the pendency of your investigation because you're the investigator on the case, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. During the pendency of your investigation, Lieutenant, did you make any connection between what we see here on Exhibit 4 to what Julian Vazquez signed on December 30th, 2021? Did you make any connections, any efforts to connect the dots? Yes or no?
I did not. I didn't even see May 30th, 2023. Mr. Yu.
My question again is not about what you see, okay? My question is, during your investigation as the Internal Affairs Sergeant, did you make any connections during your investigation to connect the dot of, hey, we have a policy here. Did Julian Vazquez sign this policy, what we see here in Exhibit 4, back in December 30th, 2021? Did you connect the dots, yes or no? Did you make any determinations?
I would, at the time that I was completing the report, no, I did not. However, as I sit here today, looking at the training notice for the prohibition on the chokehold, it has the same date of December 30th, 2021 as the acknowledged date in Lexipol for a use of force update in the 300 policy section.
What exhibit are you looking at, sir?
I was initially looking at the Torrance Police Department Training Bulletin, Exhibit 25? No, 29.
So I'm not looking at Exhibit 29 because that's the training bulletin, okay? What I'm asking you, sir, is only to what we see here on the published screen. You see that, sir? Exhibit 4. You see that?
Yes.
Okay, my question, Lieutenant, is during the pendency of your investigation, did you make any kind of effort to determine what Julian Vazquez signed on December 30th, 2021 is the same version we see here on the screen? Did you make any determination to do that?
Other than soliciting our record keeper, that was the extent of it.
Okay, so you did not make any determination to ensure what Julian Vazquez signed on December 30th, 2021 is the same thing we're looking at on the screen, correct?
No, but
All right. Council,
no, to answer your question.
Council had asked you, Lieutenant, as far as your job at the Internal Affairs Division, you're not a decision maker, you're not a person that issues discipline, correct?
Correct.
But you know that the person that does issue the discipline is going to rely on your investigation at the Internal Affairs Division, correct?
I would assume so, yes.
Right, I mean, for instance, the city manager or the assistant city manager or the chief of police, they're not the ones doing the interview. They're going to rely on what you put on paper. Is that right, sir?
In part, I would assume yes.
And by the way, we're talking about this Mr. Garcia's quote-unquote choco incident, okay? That's the incident we're talking about, all right? You investigated 3 incidents, correct?
Involving Officer Vazquez?
Correct.
Correct.
All right, so we're only focused on Mr. Garcia's incident, all right? And the reason why I asked about the policy is you understand that Julian Vazquez's incident involving Mr. Garcia happened on June 4th, 2023, correct?
No, the incident with Mr. Garcia occurred on July 28th, 2000.
You're right, I'm sorry, I was looking at it.
The incident with Mr. Garcia occurred on July 28th, 2023.
The gentleman, for the sake of the court reporter, please allow each other to finish the question and then we answer before we talk over each other.
Yeah, that was my fault. That was Mr. Carrera's incident that happened in June. This happened in July of 2023, correct? All right, so we're going to talk about that. Now, I think you testified that you also indicate in your report that you interviewed Mr. Garcia in your investigation, correct?
Yes.
That interview, sir, was over the telephone?
Yes.
That interview was not recorded?
I have no memory of it being recorded or not. As I came here today, I thought of it.
Well, can we pull up, Ms. Cohen, the table of content, which is, I think, the second page of the investigation or the first page?
Mr. Yu, for the record, is this the table of content of the department binder, or you're looking at the table of content from specifically PD 2023-009?
I think that's Exhibit 7 is what I'm looking for. Thank you. Right. And we can go through this. I believe you testified that you were the author that drafted this document. Is that right, sir?
The table of contents?
Yes.
Yes, I did do that.
Okay, so, and I'll read it to you to refresh your memory, sir. You let me know if you believe Mr. Garcia's interview was recorded, okay? At the top, you have case summary, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then personnel complaint,
Yes, sir.
and then you have officer commissioner's transcripts, right?
Correct.
Transcripts meaning you recorded the interview and it was transcribed into words, right?
Correct.
You have Officer Wolf's transcripts, correct?
Yes, sir.
Officer I'm sorry, it's redacted. Officer Lopez's transcript,
Yes.
Sergeant Koenig, correct? Koenig, Koenig.
Yes.
You have Sergeant Wells,
Yes.
and I can read all of them, but I do not see any kind of transcript involving Mr. Garcia.
From my memory, as I'm here today, I know we did not get it transcribed. I am of the opinion that it was recorded and it was submitted with discovery.
Okay. I'll represent to you that is not in any of the files that we have. Certainly the police department did not provide it to me. Do you have any independent memory as you sit here today, or as you stand here today, whether or not the interview with Mr. Garcia was recorded or not recorded? Again,
I'm of the opinion it was recorded. I know it was not transcribed.
Very well. In any event, will you interview Mr. Garcia, whether recorded or unrecorded? In your report, you did not indicate whether or not you asked Mr. Garcia of him trying to kick Officer Vazquez in the groin. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You never asked Mr. Garcia that question, correct?
That is correct.
And you understood that the kick to the groin caused my client to extend his arm to create a distance between Garcia and Officer Vazquez, correct?
I am aware that that was a focal point.
All right. I know counsel for the police department didn't ask you this, but I want to go through some of the things with you. I thought it was, I think you testified that you interviewed Sergeant Wells, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Sergeant Wells, yeah, his first name is Arlen, right? A-R-L-A-N. Did I get that spelling correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's your police department's use of force expert, correct?
Yes.
And this Sergeant Wells, and I don't want to go through his entire resume, but this guy's got hundreds of hours in ground fighting. He's been to hundreds of hours of schooling, including use of force training, tactics training. He's part of numerous nationally known conferences and associations. Is that right?
He did cite many of those things you're referencing to during our interview, yes.
I mean, because you had to establish his expertise in your interview with Sergeant Wells, right?
Yes, that was in part.
And he had been on, at least in 2023, he had been on the job for 21 years, right?
Whatever he may have indicated on the transcript is likely what his tenure at the department was.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. And he's been to, I mean, from sniper school to SWAT school to force science, he's been through all these trainings, correct?
Again, if those are cited in his statement of expertise, then yeah.
Okay. Do you dispute if I'm reading it from the transcript?
If it's written in the transcript, then that's what he said.
And force science is an institute, essentially nationally recognized institute to analyze officers' use of force. Is that right, sir? If you know.
I do not know.
Very well. Besides Sergeant Wells, in 2023 or in 2024, was there anybody else at the Torrance PD that was testifying as the subject matter expert in use of force? Like you know.
I do not know the answer to that.
Okay, so Sergeant Wells was the guy that you went to for expertise, right?
Objection as a
incomplete hypothetical, vague and ambiguous.
Mr. Beck?
My recommendation would be overruled.
Overruled.
He is the employee that we would solicit expertise related to testimony on his course application.
He was the only employee at that time, correct? To your knowledge?
Unknown. He was the most common and the most accessible.
Okay. And in fact, you interviewed him first, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And I want to get some dates correctly, okay? So the personnel complaint that we received, and Ms. Cohen, if you can please pull up Exhibit 7, page 82. Thank you. All right, and I know it's a little hard to see. On the date on top of it, we see November 25, 2023. Is that right?
Yes.
So when you were assigned this case by Lieutenant Fisher, that was on November 25, 2023, or shortly thereafter. Is that right, sir?
I was assigned the case in practical terms by Lieutenant Chance. I did receive likely the case shortly thereafter, November 25th.
Very well. And these comments are allegations before you interviewed anybody, right? At the bottom of the personnel complaint, do you see that, sir? Those were authored prior to any interviews were conducted, correct?
Yes.
And so, if you got this shortly after November 25, 2023, the body of the language on personnel complaint, that was written before Sergeant Wells was interviewed, correct?
Yes, the personnel complaint was drafted before Sergeant Wells was interviewed.
Okay. What I'm going to do, sir, is I have to apologize in advance. I'm going to jump around a little bit on the facts of this case, and I want to go into the underlying circumstances that led to the officers detaining Mr. Garcia, okay?
Okay.
Do you have those facts in mind, sir? Do you remember those facts?
I believe I do.
Okay, and if not, we'll ask Ms. Cohen and her colleague to pull up the exhibits, okay? On July 28, 2023, Torrance Police Department's Communication Center, they received a call from a citizen who saw some suspicious activity. Is that fair to say?
Yes, Ms. Rodriguez.
And the informant, or the reporting party, essentially saw some suspicious things and later identified Mr. Garcia trying to open doors, right, at the mall.
Yes, she witnessed him attempting to open door handles on parked vehicles inside the Delano Mall parking truck.
And as a police officer, that's indicative of a vehicular burglary. Is that right?
It could be.
I mean, that's a common sign for somebody to check the door, whether or not a car is locked or unlocked, correct?
Yes.
And at the Delano Mall, if you know, there are a lot of vehicle burglaries. A lot of cars get broken into, correct?
The amount, I don't know, but vehicle burglaries definitely do occur at the Delano Mall.
Very common. Was it common back then?
I don't have the statistics.
Okay. Well, I do have one statistic, which is the victim in this case, Mr. I don't want to butcher his name, Poison or?
Poisson.
Poisson? All right. And Mr. Poisson was a statistic because his car got broken into, correct?
Yes.
And at some point in time, Mr. Poisson's Audi was identified to be broken into, linked to Mr. Garcia, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then some point in time, TPD officers identified Mr. Garcia's car by his make and model, right?
Yes, Ms. Rodriguez was following Mr. Garcia.
Right. They're like, that's the car right there, and the officers were in the area and identified the car that was driven by Mr. Garcia, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, the officers were not just out of the blue profiling or targeting or picking somebody out of random, right? They had a suspect vehicle identified, correct, sir?
Yes, based on the reports from the reporting party.
And when they have a suspect vehicle identified, when the officer stopped Mr. Garcia, and we'll watch the body-worn video just in a minute, they had to do a high-risk traffic stop, correct?
That was the tactic that was used, yes.
And that's a tactic that, including you, were taught to stop a felonious, high-risk vehicle, correct?
Yes.
I mean, this is not where an officer goes, hey, good evening, sir, ma'am. I'm here to stop you because you ran a stop sign. It wasn't, that interaction wasn't like that, correct?
No, it was not.
They had to, the officers had to essentially square up on the car, open the door, draw their guns out, and extract the occupants out of the car, right?
Yes.
And when Mr. Garcia was identified, I mean, to you as a police officer, was there any doubt in your mind that the officers got the wrong guy during your investigation?
Can you rephrase the question?
Sure. During the pendency of your investigation, did you gather any kind of evidence, Lieutenant, that these officers, including Officer Vazquez, got the wrong guy?
No.
I mean, as a police officer, whether you're a patrol officer or a lieutenant, you folks have a duty to stop a suspect vehicle who just committed a crime, right?
Yes.
That's part of your oath that you took to protect the citizens of this community, correct, sir?
Correct.
All right. So when these officers, including Julian, stopped Mr. Garcia, based on your training, experience, and tenure, without rendering any legal conclusions, Mr. Garcia was not free to leave, was he?
Are you asking us from like the investigation standpoint?
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
for the personnel complaint standpoint?
Sure. I mean, when you got the case, I think you agreed that, hey, Mr. Garcia was the right suspect that was detained, correct?
Yes.
Based on your training, tenure, and experience, could Officer Vazquez say, hey, Ms. Garcia, I know you're having a bad day. You just burglarized the vehicle. We'll talk to you later because you don't want to talk to me. Was Mr. Garcia free to leave?
No.
All right. And Ms. Cohen, could you please pull up that video that we discussed? It's under, I'm going to try to get the label for the record. It is Exhibit 7, first folder, and this video is the body-worn camera of Officer Julian Vazquez. It has 209,940 KB of data, and this is the first video in the evidence.com folder.
It's weird to see the correct video.
Yes. And before you play it, Lieutenant, do you recognize what's in front of you on the screen?
Yes.
And that is the officer, or that's the body-worn camera of Officer Vazquez?
Yes.
And as we discussed earlier, this appears to be a high-risk felony stop where the officers are taking cover behind a car, correct?
Correct.
They're doing so because they don't know the people in the car may have guns, they can shoot at the officers, right?
Yes, that is one advantage of the tactic, for sure.
Right, and then they're behind the car, now they're calling the occupants to come out of the car so they can safely take that person into custody, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, could you please?
Throw him outside the window! Everyone in the car, get your hands up! Get your hands, don't look at me! Don't look at me! Keep your hands out the window! Driver, put your hands out seatbelt with your left hand and then put your hands back out. Take off your seatbelt. Don't move. We'll just wait for our arrest team before bringing him out.
Okay, so I'm on the motor window with sufficient units to respond. Units.
Got an arrested? No. Just listen to my instructions. I'll tell you in a second. Right now, your job is to follow my instructions so no one gets hurt, okay? Just follow my instructions. Look away. We have it arrested? Hey, go and open the car door from the outside. Keep the car door open. Keep those hands up. Step out of the car, face away from me. Keep those hands up. Step out of the car, face away from me. Put your hands on your head. Hands on your head. Take 2 steps to your left, face away from us. Dude, okay, face that street sign, dude. Follow my instructions. Alright, walk back to the sound of our voice. Walk back towards me. Walk backwards. Walk backwards. Come on, step. Keep coming. Step. Step to your right. Step to your right. Step to your right. Keep going. Keep going. Step to your right. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Step. Step backwards. Step coming. Stop. Get on your knees. Get on your knees. Get on your knees. You want to go get it now? Alright, sir. Help the truck from the outside, sir. Sounds good. Please. Come on! Loosen him up, bro! Alright, bud, are you able to stand up or you need an ambulance? Y'all, pull me up. Ready? Yeah, bud. Now, are you hurt? Yes, I'm on. What y'all searching me for? Why y'all searching me? What did you call me back for? Bitch ass niggas. Niggas is fixing. I'm not talking to you niggas is fixing. Bro, get the fuck out of here, nigga. What the fuck? Shut up. Y'all niggas don't work, nigga. Open nigga, let me go, bro. What's wrong with y'all niggas, bro? Get your hand off my fucking ass, nigga. What ass niggas? 3, 4 of y'all. Bitch ass niggas. What did I do? What's going on? What's going on? Can y'all tell me what's going on? Can y'all tell me what's going on? Can y'all tell me what the fuck going on? Bro, what the fuck is going on? Niggas on me. Over, nigga. What the fuck? Nigga, fuck off. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
Why y'all pulling me over and taking me out my car? That's dumb. I have a suspect? Actually, you didn't give it a description of the suspect, so that's Four or five of y'all. What the
And Lieutenant, during this ensuing struggle, you discover that Officer Lopez, who's one of the officers on scene, he was injured on his knee, correct?
Yes.
And your next question, I apologize. I'll just note for the record, the video stopped at 6 minutes, 28 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Cullen. I actually forgot about that. Officer Lopez sustained some injuries to his knee, right?
Correct.
And there was numerous occasions that Mr. Garcia was spitting on the other officers transporting, correct?
There were several instances of where he spat at. One did occur from the unit once he was placed in it towards the street or towards the outside of the unit. And then I think officers Yapelli and Yapelli, Yappelli, as well as Padilla, Padilla. I believe he spat later at them during transport.
And when a suspect says on the hood, you know that what that means, correct? You know what that stands for?
It appeared so, yeah.
When a suspect says on the hood, meaning he is an active participant of a criminal street gang, and he's putting his entire gang, he swears on the entire gang that he must assault that police officer. That's what on the hood means, correct?
I don't know about that. It did seem that he did express some gang affiliation.
Sure. Meaning he's putting it on his neighborhood. He's putting it to that gang that he's going to assault that officer, right? If you know.
I do not know.
Did you ever work gangs in your tenure as a police officer?
No, sir.
All right. At some point in time, the Torrance Fire Department responded, correct?
Yes.
And they they examined Mr. Garcia, right?
Yes, he was examined in the back of the patrol unit.
Did you ask or did you interview any of the paramedics that were on scene that treated Mr. Garcia?
No.
Did you ascertain or obtain any kind of evidence of any injuries to Mr. Garcia's neck or his body or anywhere as a result of the use of force incident?
I believe he declined the fire department's attention once they were present. I did not find any evidence of sustained injury to his neck.
Well, you know that Mr. Garcia was evaluated by the Torrance Fire Department, correct?
Yes.
And you did not interview any of the firefighters or paramedics on scene, correct?
I did not interview any of the firefighters or paramedics.
And you knew that Mr. Garcia was transported to a hospital to get an approval for booking prior to being booked at the jail, correct?
Yes.
Did you interview any?
He may have gone to the hospital after he was admitted to the jail.
Very well. Whether he was there before or after, did you make any attempt to interview perhaps the emergency room physician to ascertain whether he was injured on his neck or whether or not he was injured anywhere else?
No, sir.
when Mr. Garcia was taken into custody, there were some kind of the supervisor that first responded in the motorcycle, that was Sergeant Koenig, correct?
Yes.
And he was just in the area and he just responded to assist. Is that right?
Yes, that's what we learned from his interview.
And there was another sergeant that was a field sergeant that day. His name is Sergeant Schmitz. Is that right?
Yes.
Schmitz is spelled S-C-H-M-I-T-Z. Do I have the spelling right?
I believe it's spelled that way.
All right. And Sergeant Schmitz responded to the scene shortly after this use of force incident, correct?
Yes, sir.
And in fact, after Sergeant Schmitz arrived, my client, Officer Vazquez, told Sergeant Schmitz at that moment about the use of force, right?
I believe he did say that they were involved in use of force, yes.
Well, why don't we read exactly what you wrote about Sergeant Schmitz's involvement. Ms. Cohen, if you can kindly pull up Exhibit 7, page 68.
Yes, we're pulling that down.
Thank you very much. And Sergeant, while they're pulling that up, Sergeant Schmitz was not interviewed by you, correct?
Correct.
And before I read it, and Ms. Cohen, if you can please blow up that paragraph that starts with Sergeant Schmitz additionally spoke. Okay. What you gathered, Lieutenant, was that from Sergeant Smith's report was that Officer Vazquez advised Sergeant Smith that Garcia, after he was placed in the vehicle, turned towards Officer Vazquez. Is that right?
I'm sorry, could you say it one more time? I was reading.
Sure. Well, I'll read it verbatim and you let me know if I read it correctly, okay? Officer Vazquez advised me while attempting to place Garcia into the police vehicle, he had turned towards him, causing Officer Vazquez to use his body weight and push Garcia into the car. Did I read it so far correctly, sir?
Yes, sir.
During this time, Garcia used his legs to push against Officer Vazquez's groin, causing Officer Vazquez to momentarily push Garcia away on his neck. Did I read it correctly, sir?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Yu, before you continue, I will note because your exhibit may not be redacted, that we do have the redacted exhibit up, so we will protect officer privacy, right? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cohen. It should be noted that when Garcia turned towards Officer Vazquez, that officer sustained, which is a different officer redacted, sustained a small abrasion on his right hand. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
So during your investigation, you discovered that whatever Julian Vazquez did in the back of the car with suspect Garcia, that was properly reported and notified to Officer Vazquez's immediate supervisor, correct?
Objection is that it mischaracterizes the document and assumes facts, not an evidence, lacks foundation.
Mr. Bennett?
I would sustain objections, they got hypothetical.
Sustained.
To you, based on your investigation, based on what I just read, did Officer Vazquez make a proper notification to his immediate supervisor?
Strictly based on Sergeant Smith's summary or just on the investigation as a whole? From what I've learned from the investigation as a whole?
Both or either?
Yes, he did tell Sergeant Smith, his supervisor, of the use of force.
I mean, you did not gather any evidence that my client was trying to hide or downplay or trying to minimize his involvement against Mr. Garcia. Is that right?
Nothing like that came across.
Okay. And the last paragraph, Ms. Cohen, if you can pull that up on the bottom of page 68, right there. and then I think you wrote in your report, later in the report, Sergeant Schmidt wrote that he reviewed the pertinent video footage related to the use of force. Did I read it correctly?
Yes.
And when you wrote that sentence, you knew that Sergeant Schmidt had reviewed the body-worn camera and the back seat video of this incident, correct?
Yes, as indicated by him that he reviewed it. But
Continue reading. He concluded that the video footage and his observations on the scene corroborated the facts detailed in the reports. Did I read it correctly?
yes, sir.
Sergeant Schmidt summarized the encounter between Mr. Garcia and Officer Vazquez while in the back of the patrol vehicle. Did I read it correctly?
Yes.
There's the most important line that you wrote, sir. Sergeant Schmidt concluded that Officer Vazquez used reasonable force and did not observe any policy violations related to the force used. Did I read it correctly?
Yes.
I think you said you've been a police officer for 19 years.
Yes, sir.
Had you made arrests involving resisting, delaying arrest, or battery on a police officer?
Yes, sir.
Were you a detective before you became a sergeant?
Yes, sir.
Had you filed cases with the district attorney's office or the city attorney's office involving other officers who were victims of battery on a police officer or delaying arrest of a police officer?
I only worked narcotics, so it was mainly narcotics filings. There could have been maybe a delaying of investigation that we filed or I filed, but if there was any sort of assault on a police officer, in addition to a narcotics charge on that same individual, I would have completed a supplemental report likely just related to the narcotics. And our other crimes persons detectives likely would have handled our crimes persons detectives would have handled the investigation and filing on the suspect for assault charges on a police officer.
Okay, well, as a patrol, you had to work patrol as a police officer, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, as a patrol officer, you certainly made arrest or assisted your other partners making arrest of someone who battered an officer or delayed or obstructed an officer, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you know based on those investigations that if an officer becomes a victim of a battery or a victim of an obstruction, that means they were engaged in lawful performance of their duties. Is that right?
I don't know the answer to that.
Have you ever seen an officer who is the victim of a battery of a police officer, on a police officer, who engaged in excessive force?
Me personally?
Yes.
I don't believe I have, no, sir.
Okay. Well, in this case, Julian Vazquez was a victim of a penal code section 243B, as in boy, by Mr. Garcia, correct?
For the arrest charges or for the filing charges?
What do we pull up to Exhibit 70? Exhibit 7. Sorry, page 70 on Exhibit 7. And if you can kindly just blow up that first. You see that case number up top?
Yes, sir.
The case number starts with YA 108268.
Yes, sir.
And you know that YA is a Torrance Superior Court felony case number?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you gather these counts. You see that 1 through 4?
Correct.
Okay. Count 1, 459. Vehicle burglary. You see that?
Yes, sir.
And based on your investigation, you knew that the prosecutor prosecuted meaning charged and prosecuted Mr. Garcia for the vehicle burglary involving Mr. Poisson. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Count 2, 148. Resisted, delayed, and/or obstructed Officer Vazquez. You see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Officer Vazquez was the victim of a crime committed by Mr. Garcia, correct?
Was he a victim of the laying of the investigation? Is that what?
Yeah.
Oh, then yes.
All right. Count 3, 243B. Willful and unlawful use of force against Officer Lopez. You see that?
Yes, sir.
Officer Lopez was the victim of a unlawful use of force against him by Mr. Garcia, correct?
Officer Lopez, I believe, sustained an injury following the fall.
By Mr. Garcia as a result of the struggle with Mr. Garcia, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Yu, can you please let him finish speaking? Just, you guys are both speaking over each other. If you can just wait.
Take it to Starbucks I had right before the hearing.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, I will slow down. And finally, sir, count 4, 243B. Again, willful and unlawful use of force against Officer Vazquez, right?
Yes.
That's referring to Garcia using willful and unlawful use of force against my client, Officer Julian Vazquez. Correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And then at the bottom, I want to be very technical about this. If you know, based on your investigation, you wrote that as a result, counts 2, 3, 4 were dismissed. You see that?
Yes.
You're not telling this commission, Lieutenant, that Officers Lopez or Vazquez caused that dismissal, right? That's just a plea negotiation. Do you understand? Correct?
Those counts were dismissed in furtherance of justice.
That happens all the time, right?
It is common.
It's common in narcotics, right?
Yes.
It's not because these officers did something wrong and caused them some dismissal, because ultimately Mr. Garcia pled guilty to count 1, right?
Mr. Garcia did plead to count 1, which was the auto murder.
Right. He pled guilty to what he got detained for, right?
That is correct.
He pled guilty to what he was arrested for by Officer Vazquez and the arresting officers, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And on the same page, Ms. Cohen, if you can scroll down a little bit, where it says lexical policy 300.3. See that? Okay. Now, this is the heart of the case, I think, for this incident at least. And I want to go through this with you, sir, because I think this is very important. On the second paragraph, I'm going to read it and let me know if I read it correctly. Okay, sir?
Yes.
The reasonableness of force will be judged from the perspective of a reasonable officer on the scene at the time of the incident, correct?
Correct.
And to you, as the internal affairs investigator, that means you have to judge it by the officer's perspective on scene, right?
Yes.
Not from a nice commission air conditioner room on a Monday evening, but what the officers perceived and what they were doing on the day of the incident on scene, correct?
Correct.
Continuing. Any evaluation of reasonableness must allow for the fact that officers are often forced to make split-second decisions about the amount of force that reasonable appears necessary in a particular situation with limited information in circumstances that are tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving, right?
Correct.
I'm going to unpack that because that's a lot. To you, as the internal affairs investigator, do you take that to mean that these officers on the street, they gotta make very fast, quick, split-second decisions, right?
Is that based on the policy that's being written?
Yeah, to you, am I correct?
That's what the policy does cover, yeah.
Right, but to you, that means these officers, they're not armed with everything that we know now, right?
That is correct.
When they're on scene, they don't know anything about Mr. Garcia or his history or whether or not he's armed. They gotta safely detain the suspect to conduct a criminal investigation, true?
Correct.
And tense, uncertain, rapidly evolving meaning, something that can go from A to Z in a split second, correct?
Yeah, that's what the policy does indicate that it's.
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Yes, that, I mean, can you repeat the question?
Sure. I'll read to the next line because I think it's going to give a better context. Next paragraph. Given that no policy can realistically predict every possible situation an officer might encounter, officers are entrusted to use well-reasoned discretion in determining appropriate use of force in each incident, right? Did I read it correctly?
Yes.
That means your policy doesn't say, hey, if you get kicked in the groin, do this. There's no policy that says that, correct?
Correct.
Have you ever been yourself trained to get kicked in the groin while taking a suspect into custody?
No.
All right. So essentially, Julian Vazquez was never trained, hey, if you get kicked in the groin, use your pepper spray. Or if you get kicked in the groin, do something else. I mean, he did not receive that training to your knowledge based on your investigation, correct?
That is correct.
Officers, I'm finished reading this paragraph. Officers may only use a level of force that they reasonably believe is proportional to the seriousness of the suspected offense or the reasonably perceived level of actual or threatened resistance, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, like in this situation, Julian Vazquez would not be justified, for instance, using deadly force.
Based on being impacted in the groin?
Yes.
No.
In other words, you can't use excessive force. That's what this policy says, correct?
Yes, only that force which is necessary.
And talking about whether or not this is excessive force, I'm going to jump back into the interview you had with Sergeant Wells, and I want to focus on what Sergeant Wells was presented with. Do you have that in mind?
If it's an exhibit you're referring to, I don't know the exhibit number.
Sure, but do you have in mind your interview with Sergeant Wells?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And talking about whether or not this is excessive, Sergeant Wells, your own department's use of force expert, opined that this entire episode of use of force was reasonable. Is that right?
Yes.
Sergeant Wells, your own police department expert, opined that although they don't teach grabbing the neck, that response to the pain stimulus was reasonable under the circumstances, correct?
I believe he said it was a reasonable response to his pain stimulus in the groin. I think that's what he indicated in the interview.
All right. Ms. Cohen, could you kindly pull up Exhibit 7, page 140? And pull up to the bottom, if you will.
We are pulling that document up now.
You said 140?
140, yes. And on the bottom, which is the second paragraph, where it says Sergeant Wells. Could you on the bottom, scroll down there, scroll down. Okay. Could you highlight where it says Sergeant Wells? Okay, and I'll read it. And by the way, this was your transcript with your use of force expert, Sergeant Wells, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sergeant Wells. Well, I'll read your question to be fair. Sergeant Cromwell. Yeah. So let the record reflect the time on the in-car camera is approximately 17:49:44 hours. In his report, this will be consistent with Officer Vazquez indicates that Mr. Garcia had his foot on his groin. Also at this time, and let the record reflect, Officer Vazquez does have his right arm and hand positioned around the neck of Mr. Garcia. Did I read it correctly, sir?
Yes.
I guess my first question is to you, Sergeant Wells. Speaks to the reasonableness of the force used by Officer Vazquez in this moment. Would it be reasonable for Officer Vazquez to position his hands around Mr. Garcia's neck following the claim of the groin being kicked or impacted or having pressure upon it? Did I read it correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And your use of force expert, Sergeant Wells, responded. Well, one of the things of trying to determine reasonableness is that we have to realize that every use of force has to be just from the perspective of a reasonable officer rather than hindsight 20/20 vision. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Did you take the hindsight 20/20 to mean like a Monday morning quarterbacking? Oh, you should not have done that. You should have done this instead. Is that what hindsight 20/20 to you means?
I don't know what. I think you got that Sergeant Wells for his meaning of 20/20 vision, hindsight 20/20 vision.
Well, because hindsight's always 20/20, correct?
Yeah.
In regards to this situation, the reaction of Officer Vazquez is reasonable. Reaction to being kicked in the groin. Did I read it correctly?
Yes, sir.
And is it something that we teach? No. It is a response that it is not a response that we teach. However, the reaction to a pain stimulus is reasonable. You see that?
Yes.
Did I read it correctly?
Yes.
If you know, during the course of the investigation, your Torrance PD's policy and the policy that was updated, that was based on, I think, a government code that was passed, correct?
Are you talking about the prohibition of the chokehold?
Yes.
Yes, it was following an assembly bill.
And it's also based on case laws, correct?
I do not know.
How about based on the Fourth Amendment?
I don't know.
Did you ask what the policy was enacted after during the pendency of your investigation?
No, with the daily training bulletin, I think indicates the reason for it.
Well, in part is the Fourth Amendment that bans the unreasonable search and seizures by government officials, correct?
That is correct.
And in your interview, Sergeant Wells actually provided you with some publications from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, correct?
As I'm talking to you right now, I don't remember that, but
Sure.
looking for.
Could we pull up page 142, please?
Thank you. While they're pulling that up, I just want to check. I would like to give our court reporter a break. Is this a good point? Do you have a couple more questions?
I have a couple more questions, but yes, now is a good time.
Okay, perfect. So we'll take a recess. We'll take a 15-minute recess. We'll be back here at 8:55.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to come back on the record. Mr. Yu, you can continue your cross-examination.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Ms. Cohen, can we have Exhibit 7, page 142, pulled up?
142?
Yes, ma'am. Lieutenant, I'm drawing your attention on the Sergeant Wells' response citing the Ninth Circuit judge. Do you see that? Does that refresh your memory?
Yes, I don't know, I might have been mistaken, but was there a specific case law that you were referencing?
No.
Okay.
So during your, let me ask my question again, okay, sir? During your interview with Sergeant Wells, he cited a Ninth Circuit judge's opinion to you, is that right?
Yes, he did.
Okay, and before the break, I think you said you don't recall. I'm gonna read it to you, and let me know if that refreshes your memory, okay?
I'm sorry, I must have misunderstood the question earlier. I thought you asked me if there was specific case law that Sergeant Wells cited in his interview with me. That's what I was responding to earlier.
Very well. Let me read the quote that Sergeant Wells cited, and let me know if that is the correct quote that you got during your interview, all right?
Okay.
Sergeant Wells says in quotation, "Not every push or shove, even if it may later seem unnecessary in the peace of a judge's chamber, violates the Fourth Amendment. The calculus of reasonableness must embody allowance for the fact that police officers are often forced to make split-second judgments and circumstances that are tense, uncertain, rapidly evolving about the amount of force that is necessary in a particular situation." Did I read it correctly?
Yes, sir.
And Sergeant Wells told you during the interview that, and that also equates to this: things are happening very quickly. They're rapidly evolving. Officer Vazquez had tried multiple different techniques to push this individual, utilizing the chest area, which were not effective. Then you add the groin strike, which enlisted a quick reflex of just us being humans. We respond. Did I read it correctly?
Yes, sir.
And that was his response to that pain stimulus. So even though, with hindsight 2020, we realize that it is not the best technique used, it is reasonable based on the circumstances. Did I read it correctly?
Yes, sir.
Did you take that to mean that with all the chaos, with all of everything that was happening really fast, according to Sergeant Wells, given the circumstances, what Julian Vazquez did was reasonable?
That was Sergeant Wells' response.
Did you take that to mean what I just asked you, sir?
I'm not following your question.
Sure. Sergeant Wells made a finding that everything Julian Vazquez did was reasonable on that day, correct? To you.
Reasonable with regard, yeah.
Let me ask you this. Sergeant Wells, when answering your question, told you that everything that Julian Vazquez did that day, on the day of the incident involving Mr. Garcia, was reasonable in light of the circumstances, correct?
The only thing that I would say to that is the technique that he used reasonable? Is that what that would be the only thing that I would ask follow-up for, Mr. Yu, based on Sergeant Wells' test, the paragraph that we just went over at the end.
Let me read you page 143 on the top. This is towards the end of the interview with Sergeant Wells. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And I'm so sorry. Could you go to one scroll on top, which is bottom of 142? Let's start there. There you go. And I'm going to draw your attention to the last line of question that you asked him. Okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
You asked him, question. We spoke about 4 different instances of force used in this review.
We spoke about the reasonableness of them specifically with regard to excessive force pertaining to those 4 that we spoke about. Did I read it correctly so far?
Yes, sir.
In your opinion, was any of the force used by Officer Vazquez excessive? Did I read it correctly?
Yes, sir.
Answer, no. Did I read it correctly?
Correct.
You then ask, and why is that? On top of page 143, he answers, just going back to what I stated earlier. With respect to the claim of excessive force, the same standard of reasonableness at the moment applies. Once again, not every push and shove, and even though later seen unnecessary, does not qualify for excessive force. Is that right?
That's correct, sir.
And you ask them to be transparent, although it could be out of policy, it may not be considered excessive. He says correct. Is that right?
Correct.
So based on what I read from the question and answers to your own use of force expert, my question is, did you take Sergeant Wells's finding to mean that with all of the circumstances that compounded on the day of the arrest of Mr. Garcia, that it was tense, rapidly evolving, and a lot of chaos going on, so to such that it rendered my client's use of force reasonable by Sergeant Wells? Did you take him to mean that?
From Sergeant Wells' statement to myself?
Yes.
Yes.
And there was some allegation during your investigation at the video or the back seat of the patrol car where Officer Vazquez was trying to put the seatbelt on of Mr. Garcia, and my client used his elbow again to guard against Mr. Garcia's jawline. Do you remember that?
Yes, I know what you're referring to.
And using the elbow to guard against the jawline of Mr. Garcia, that was one of the excessive force allegations that you were charged to investigate, correct?
I think the questions regarding to that were more around if it was a reportable use of force.
And yet, Sergeant Wells said, even though there was an elbow to the jawline, that technique was also reasonable, not excessive, correct?
I believe he indicated it was a reportable use of force, but it was not excessive.
He said it was reasonable, correct?
Where are you reading that, sir?
No, I'm asking you as an internal affairs sergeant, did Sergeant Wells render a finding that it was reasonable?
As I'm sitting here today, I don't remember, but you have it on the transcripts. I can
All right,
speak
well,
to it.
let's pull up the transcript, page 142. Right there. Can you highlight where it says Sergeant Cronbach and all the way to where Sergeant Wells' response is? Very good. Up top, the 2 paragraphs up top. There you go. Okay. You asked Sergeant Wells, and lastly, with regard to the timestamp of the force used at approximately 17:50:03 hours to include the right forearm being placed on the right jawline of Mr. Garcia and pushing his neck back to accomplish him being seatbelted in the car. Did I read it correctly?
I think I think you said neck when it should have been head.
I'm sorry, it's head, not neck. What is your opinion regarding the reasonableness of the force used in this specific incident, whether it would be reasonable or not? Did I read it correctly?
Yes, sir.
He responds to you, I believe it's reasonable. Did I read it correctly?
Yes, sir.
The individual is very agitated, is hostile, his head's moving back and forth. In arrest control, there's a lot of different body parts that can be used as weapons, and your head is one of them. Correct? That's what he told you.
Yes.
And arrest control is a type of training the officer gets in the academy and ongoing in-service training, correct?
Yeah.
Without securing this individual's head, it could have been easily used to headbutt Officer Vazquez in the mouth, causing injury to the officer. To prevent that, the form against the head is an ideal tactical option. Did I read it correctly?
Yes, sir.
So Sergeant Wells said that the use of the elbow onto the jawline of Mr. Garcia was an ideal tactical option, right?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Garcia, on the day of the incident or any time thereafter, he did not file a personnel complaint, correct?
Correct.
So when Mr. Garcia was arrested, he never demanded a citizen's complaint or a personnel complaint against any of the officers, including my client, correct?
I don't know if he inquired about one or demanded one, but he definitely did not process one or submit one.
Okay. And during your interview with Mr. Garcia, whether recorded or unrecorded, did you ask Mr. Garcia, hey, Mr. Garcia, did you file a personnel complaint against Officer Vazquez? Did you ask him that question?
No.
Now, you as the internal affairs investigator, you took classes concerning the timeliness of a particular investigation, correct?
With regards to 3304D?
I don't want you to opine on any legal conclusions. I'm just asking you, did you take any classes concerning the timeliness of a particular personnel internal affairs investigation?
Related to time bar?
Yes.
Yes.
And you understand, at least standing here before this commission, that unless there's some exceptions based on your training and experience and your tenure, that you got 1 year from the date of the incident in which a supervisor became aware of it or should have became aware of it to the date you complete your investigation, right?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Sure. Based on your training, experience, and tenure, you understand that you as the internal affairs investigator, you have 1 year to complete your investigation from the date that a supervisor had knowledge of a particular misconduct to the date that you finish your investigation.
Generally speaking, yes, there are some exceptions to it, but generally, yes.
Did you notate any kind of exceptions to the 1 year rule in your report that you authored?
In my report, no, I did not. However, in the supplemental documentation, there is documentation for the criminal adjudication of Mr. Garcia's YA case that we talked about and the disposition date of it.
Sure, but that assumes that Mr. Garcia is the complainant, correct?
I don't know what you mean.
Sure. You notated that Mr. Garcia was prosecuted for these felony charges that we talked about, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you know that in a complainant, if Mr. Garcia had filed a complaint, that would be an exception to the 1 year rule, right? Based on your training and experience.
I am uncertain if that would trigger it.
Did you ask anybody during your pendency investigation, hey, boss, this thing happened July 28, 2023. Why are we investigating past the 1 year? Did you ask anybody?
No. However, my report was submitted around St. Patrick's Day of 2024.
Got it. So essentially, I'm not trying to cast words in your mouth, but you finished your investigation and you passed it on within the 1 year. Is that right?
I submitted my report
roughly around St. Patrick's Day of March 2024.
And you did so because you knew that 1 year was triggered on July 28, 2023, correct?
I knew that that was the date of the incident.
And you knew that on that date, not one, but two sergeants became aware of every detail of this incident, correct?
What do you mean by every detail?
Sure. You knew that at least Sergeant Schmidt conducted an administrative review of this incident on July 28, 2023, correct?
I know that he was out there on July 28th. I believe he submitted it to Lieutenant Fisher on August 12th of 2023. I believe that's in my report. It should be after all the interviews.
I understand. Why don't we pull up to Exhibit 7, page 68. Actually, could we start with page 67 first at the very bottom? All right, do you see on page 67 of your report, sir, do you see that in front of you?
Yes, sir.
You see the word administrative review, Sergeant Schmitz?
Yes.
Okay. And if you could scroll down, Ms. Cohen. All right. You see, during this investigation, you see that? Internal Affairs examined the administrative review of the use of force. In a review of this document, Sergeant Smith advised on July 28, 2023, he was working uniform patrol assigned to 9 SAM. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So does that refresh your recollection that he was 9 SAM 55 and he conducted an administrative review shortly after this incident?
I don't know when exactly he performed his administrative review. However, I do believe it was submitted August 13, 2023 to Lieutenant Fisher.
Very well.
I'm sorry, I didn't, to Lieutenant
Fisher?
And as a sergeant, if you know, you're responsible for conducting investigations of misconduct, right?
Yes.
And as a sergeant, you're a mandated reporter because you're a supervisor, correct?
Yes.
Not just internal affairs. I mean, a patrol sergeant such as Sergeant Schmitz, he's a mandated reporter, correct? He's a supervisor.
Yes, our policy does state if a supervisor is aware of policy violations that they do need to report them to their superior.
Right. And based on your knowledge, based on your investigation, based on everything you've investigated on this incident involving Mr. Garcia, you know that Sergeant Schmidt did a detailed report following this use of force incident, right?
He did, however, Lieutenant Fisher did document an area in the administrative review where he felt Sergeant Schmitz missed potential policy violations.
And you know, based on your training, experience, and tenure, that missing some administrative policy is not an exception to the 1 year rule, correct?
I believe what the requirement does indicate is that it's a person in a position of a supervisor position with the knowledge of a potential policy violation.
Right, and that sergeant is one of them, yes?
It could be.
Well, sergeants have to report misconduct, right, sir? You just told the commission that.
If they are aware of a policy violation, yes.
Are you saying that Sergeant Smith somehow covered it up, put his head in the sand, and failed to report? Is that what you're telling the commission, sir?
No, I'm not at all.
I mean, Sergeant Smith did an administrative review into this incident, correct?
That is correct.
Administrative review is reviewing the body-worn camera of the involved officers, correct?
Yes, sir.
Administrative review includes looking at patrol car videos,
ring videos, any kind of surveillance videos to analyze whether or not the use of force is within or out of policy, correct?
Yes.
If you know, sir, I don't want you to speculate. People sometimes disagree on a use of force incident. Agreed?
In what context?
Well, let's do this context. Lieutenant Fisher disagreed with, I don't know, Sergeant Schmitz, obviously, correct?
Yes.
And since Lieutenant Fisher drafted the personnel complaint before Sergeant Wells, do you know if Lieutenant Fisher agreed or disagreed with Sergeant Wells' findings?
Can you say that one more time?
Sure. Sergeant Wells was interviewed after Lieutenant Fisher authored the personnel complaint, correct?
Correct.
Would it be fair to say that Sergeant Wells disagreed with Lieutenant Fisher?
I don't know.
Okay. Did you find out?
No.
So at least we know at the outset, Fisher disagreed with Schmitz, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And then Wells disagreed with Fisher, correct?
I don't believe Sergeant Wells disagreed with Lieutenant Fisher.
Okay.
Regarding the prohibition of the chokehold?
Yes.
I don't believe they're in disagreement.
Okay. Do you believe that Lieutenant Fisher and Sergeant Wells are saying the same thing?
With regard to what?
To the chokehold.
I believe Lieutenant Fisher did indicate that in his review he felt it could have been a violation of 300.3.7.
So,
as did Sergeant Wells.
all right, but I know it's getting late. You know you're tired. We're almost done, okay? I want to make sure we get through this specifics of the detail because this is very, very important. Sergeant Wells basically said, hey, look, we don't teach this tactic. It's out of policy, but yet this is reasonable and not excessive, correct?
I believe Sergeant Wells' assessment for that was based on the overall, there was an excessive force claim.
Let me ask it again. Did Sergeant Wells opine at the end of the day, and I can read his testimony again, we don't teach this tactic. It could be out of policy. However, it's reasonable, not excessive.
I think all that is correct, summary of it, with regards to could be out of policy. I think he did indicate it was out of policy. The chokehold, or the prohibition of the chokehold.
Ms. Cohen, could I bother you to pull up 143, Exhibit 7? He didn't answer.
Yes, we are pulling that up. Thank you.
Question. Although it could be out of policy, it may not be considered excessive. Answer, correct. Did I read it correctly?
Objection has been answered.
Mr. Bennett,
We've gone over this already. I would sustain the objection.
sustained.
Did you ask Lieutenant Fisher after you interviewed Sergeant Wells, hey Lieutenant, I interviewed Sergeant Wells, this is what he said. Did you have any discussions with Lieutenant Fisher about what Sergeant Wells told you in your interview?
I did not have a conversation with Lieutenant Fisher about this.
I want to move on to our next incident, which is the Brandon Carrera case. You have that in mind, sir?
Yes, sir.
You investigated this case because there was a claim that was filed by Mr. Carrera's attorney, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you understood that the city rejected the claim?
I have no awareness of what the city did with regard to that claim.
Did you find out whether or not the city rejected or accepted the claim?
No, I did not.
Did you find out if the city was going to defend Officer Vazquez in this claim?
I might have had some correspondence with Ms. Litvin where she was trying to get a hold of Officer Vazquez related to this, but that would have been the extent of it.
All right. Well, you understand that Captain Underwood recommended no discipline on this case, correct?
I'm unaware of Captain Underwood's recommendations.
It's not in your report that you wrote. Can we go to Exhibit 12, please? And there's a few documents on there. This will be the document that has 7,343 KB.
Our sizes may be slightly different than yours, Mr. Yu, based on redactions.
Got it.
What's the title of the document?
The title of the document is, let me find it for you. Final case summary redacted. It's a 20-page document.
Yes, we have that pulled up.
Okay. And have you ever seen this? Oh, let me pull this out. Have you ever seen this document, sir?
I don't know.
Okay. Is this a Torrance Police Department official memorandum?
Our closure notices that come from our captains do look like that.
Okay. Do you dispute that's a Torrance PD document?
No, for all intents and purposes, it looks like it's a document that we generate.
Okay. And I know your summary's at the bottom, but let me go through page 2 real quick for you. Was Captain Underwood a captain with Torrance PD?
Yes, sir.
Go down real quick. Okay. You see where it says, based on the above findings, I recommend that Officer Vazquez receive no discipline related to this case. You see that?
Yes, sir.
Had you ever heard of an officer who got fired when a captain recommends no discipline on a case, based on your personal knowledge?
No.
So if the attorney for the police department told the commission in an opening statement that Officer Vazquez would have been fired for this incident standing alone, that would be ridiculous, right? You've never heard of that?
Objection. It's an incomplete hypothetical, lacks foundation.
It says that in his opening.
Speculation.
It's argument. So it's sustained based on argument.
Sustained.
What does no discipline mean based on your training and experience and tenure?
We just object as to relevance at this point and lacking foundation.
Can I have a question right back, please?
Does no discipline mean based on your training and experience and tenure?
I would overrule the objection. Would be my recommendation.
Overruled.
Just that no discipline will be imposed. There's no corrective action for the employee.
I want to take you through this arrest of Mr. Correa. He was an active gang member with a gang at the Redondo Beach, right? North side Redondo Beach.
I don't know if he was an active gang member, but there was premise history with his vehicle and premise history with his vehicle and or with him in our local database.
Well, you know Northside Redondo is an active criminal street gang in this community, correct? Or neighboring community?
Yes, I'm aware of him.
And you know that Mr. Carrera goes by the name of Cuete, right? C-U-E-T-E?
I don't know if he currently goes by it or if, again, if that's historical that's brought in. I don't know the answer to that.
All right, would you go to page 5 of 20, please? Scroll down, please. It's fine. Okay. I'm going to take you down to about midway through, okay? He's in local, does show self-admitted Northside Redondo gang member with the moniker of Puente, no longer active in the gang life, but still associates with NSR gangsters. You see that?
Yes, I do see it now.
Okay, and Coite means what in Spanish? Do you know?
No.
You don't know? You don't know if that means pistol in Spanish or handgun?
No, sir.
Okay. You investigated this case and clearly you reviewed the body-worn cameras of this arrest, correct? Shown by counsel, right?
Yes, sir.
But what counsel did not show you was when dispatch actually told Officer Vazquez the criminal history of Mr. Carrera, correct?
I believe they did inform him on the radio.
Right, but we didn't hear that earlier, correct? Counsel didn't play it for you, but there was a recording where dispatch asked Officer Vazquez if he's clear for further information, right?
Is that what my report indicates?
Well, Matsky, do you remember that?
I don't remember the exact verbiage from dispatch. That's why I'm asking to review my report.
No problem, sir. At 16:35:47, dispatch asks Officer Vazquez if he's clear for further communication. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
And dispatchers often ask officers on the field if they're clear for further communication because dispatch knows that the officers wears the radio microphone on their chest or uniform, correct?
Yes, it's usually asked for officer safety.
Because obviously the dispatcher doesn't want to broadcast a warrant or prior convictions with the suspect sitting in front of the officer, right?
Yeah, again, it's for officer safety.
Okay. And the dispatch says 9 Lincoln 45, and that, by the way, is Officer Vazquez's call sign, correct?
Yes, I believe he was working 45 that day.
The dispatcher says, I don't have a local FI on the subject. Do you see that?
Yes.
A local FI is your own police department's field interview card, correct?
Yes, it would be short for field interview.
And by the way, somebody like Puente should have, if you know, an FI card on file. Right? He was a gang member.
I don't know, Mr. Yu.
Okay. By the way, have you ever heard of an officer get fired for not filling out an FI card?
I don't know.
Have you heard of that?
I've never heard of it.
Okay, continue reading. But after reading the report on the 211 from August 8th of 2021, 211 is robbery, correct?
Yes, sir.
It states they did a further records check of Carrera. He has prior convictions for, I'm going to read it, 242. You see that?
Yes, sir.
That's a battery, correct?
Yes, sir.
484, that's petty theft, right?
Correct.
10851, that's stealing cars, correct?
Yes, sir.
487, grand theft?
Correct.
496, receiving stolen property?
Correct.
Garden variety, 273.5, beating his wife or spouse?
Domestic violence.
Domestic violence, right? 136.1, intimidation of a witness, correct?
Yes.
243D as in David, which is a felony battery, right?
I believe so.
245A2, assault with a firearm, correct?
Yes.
So these are the convictions in which Officer Vazquez identified on this individual, Mr. Carrera, correct?
Yes, that's what dispatch broadcast went through.
And one of the, I guess, allegations you're investigating, sir, is whether or not Officer Vazquez conducted a safe pat-down?
It had to do with the pat-down policy, yes.
Right, but it's not whether or not Officer Vazquez could pat an individual down. It's how many officers should be with Vazquez when a pat-down was conducted, correct?
Yes, the policy analyzed wasn't for like a Terry pat-down, whether the legality of it was there or not. It was for more of the officer safety questions pertaining to Officer Vazquez's choice to pat down Mr. Correa.
And again, it's you vest some discretion in the officers in the field as far as what to do and how to do it, correct?
Yes.
And Ms. Cohen, could you pull up this other report, which is titled Arrest Report, and it has the last four of 0088. It's in the same file.
There are two arrest report documents. One is a Spillman arrest report, which is a smaller document than the larger arrest report.
Yes, ma'am. The larger arrest report, please.
It appears this is a 4-page document.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like page 1?
Yes, to begin with. So this is the booking record for Mr. Carrero, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that one of the documents that you gathered in your investigation?
Yes, I do believe that one's got it correct.
And if you can scroll down, Ms. Cohen, to page 3. And up, right up top, where the booking photos are. Can you enlarge the tattoos on there? Just because one of the allegations that I think you assisted had to do with FI card, did you make any determination what the words redondo and what the words, the tattoos on this arrestee meant?
I don't remember an FI card being possibly us talking about an FI card in the Correa investigation.
Based on your training, experience, and tenure, would you consider those gang-related tattoos, if you know?
They look consistent. Some of them do look consistent.
With a North Side Redondo criminal street gang, with the word Redondo in the back of Mr. Correa's back?
Yeah.
Did you make any determination whether or not somebody filled out a field interview card for Mr. Correa?
I don't recall.
If it's not in your report, is it safe to say you did not?
I don't know where the topic of the field interview is coming from.
The final incident is, I think counsel didn't ask you, but I'm going to go through it because it's one of the allegations is, in one of the other incidents you investigated, my client, Officer Vazquez, miscounted some money. Do you remember that incident?
I vaguely remember it.
Well, you investigated 3 incidents, correct?
With money?
No. As an internal affairs investigator in this case, you were assigned to investigate 3 incidents of alleged misconduct, correct?
With regard to Officer Vazquez?
Yes.
Yes.
One is Garcia, right? When we just saw Mr. Carrera, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the third one is Mr. Lee, correct?
No.
You did not investigate Mr. Lee?
No, that was my partner. I had another investigation with, there was no sustained findings and no discipline. But I did not investigate Mr. Lee.
Just out of curiosity, based on your training, tenure, and experience, had you ever heard of an officer who got fired for miscounting money off by $2? Any officer at the Torrance PD, based on your training, experience, and tenure, get fired for miscounting $2?
Objection as it lacks foundation, it's an incomplete hypothetical, and it's also irrelevant. That is not one of the charges in this case. Sorry for the speaking objection.
Mr. Ben?
Counsel for Mr. Vazquez can elaborate as to why that's relevant.
It's one of the incidents that we're here for.
Who's charged with that?
Yes.
It's not in the final notice of this.
If council represents that, then I will withdraw my question based on council's representation.
Review exhibit 1.
Mr. Ben, should we go to?
It's been withdrawn. The question's been withdrawn.
Okay.
So it's no longer an issue.
I'm done.
Mr. Grether, it's 9:41. Do you anticipate your redirect taking us to 10 o'clock or past?
I have no questions.
You have no redirect? So it seems weird to ask if Mr. Yu has any recross.
We could move to commissioner questions at this time.
Perfect.
Thank you, Chair Collins.
We will now take questions from the commissioners. I'm actually just going to start, Commissioner Kartsotis, if you have some questions. I'm just going to go down the line. Okay. Commissioner Sasaki? Commissioner Herring? Commissioner Hamada?
I do have a question. If you know, or does Torrance PD...
To have the party submit like a 2-page, 3-page brief, it shouldn't be very long, and it shouldn't take a week to do that, such that we can have it to digest before the hearing comes.
So do both parties, is that amenable, that you can have a brief to Ms. Cohen by the end of the week, let's say?
That's fine. I would just request that I'm just not entirely sure what Mr. Yu's objections are based on, so that he submit his brief and then we get a chance to respond to it. Because I really don't understand, or there's no rule cited saying that we can't call him as a witness. So I'd like that. If we're going to do that, that would be my request, is that he brief that issue so that I can properly respond to it.
I literally just told council why, but I'll say it again, and I will submit a brief first, but the legal reasoning is that the expert witness and whatever he's going to say did not contemplate in the decision maker's decision in Exhibit 1. If you look at Exhibit 1, that expert witness is not in here. We're here to determine whether or not the Torrance Police Department fired my client with cause or without cause in the burden of proof. If the decision maker did not use the expert's opinion in their decision, in my view, that is inappropriate for that expert to testify.
Mr. Bent, can we go into closed session?
Sure.
Okay, we'll take a recess. We're going to go into closed session. We're going to come back on the record. Mr. Bent.
Mr. Yu, do you feel comfortable that based on your statements on the record, that you set forth the grounds for your objection, such that you don't need to do
I feel comfortable if I supplement one of the other issues, which is, I think, a scaling issue if the city decides to proceed. I don't think we waive scaling issues at a hearing or from the witnesses, because if the city is using a undisclosed expert prior to scaling to justify the termination, I think it's a scaling violation.
You tell me whether you feel comfortable, you put it on the record. So I'm trying to avoid any delays.
No.
If you feel that you want to do a written brief.
I don't
right?
like it.
Okay.
I just stated my objection. I think I've stated in a manner that's concise, clear, and understandable. I don't need to do a written briefing.
Okay, so we're proceeding that the objections that you stated on the record are the objections for the witness.
Yes.
And Mr. Grether, would you be able to provide a brief to Ms. Cohen by Wednesday or Thursday of this week
Sure.
in response to that? And then on Monday, we will have a decision on, or additional discussion on how to proceed with that witness. Does that sound fair, Mr. Grether?
I will respect the commission's decision on the procedure here.
Okay. Mr. Yu?
I'm thinking out loud, so I don't write something, he gets to write something, because usually with the party that's moving, I think we get the last say. I would like to at least respond to his opposition, very briefly. As you know, I'm not gonna do a drawn-out brief, argument, but I'd like to respond to what council has to oppose before the commission makes a decision.
So we can share the brief with Mr. Yu and have him do a written response by Friday?
No, I don't need that. I could just respond to it orally on Monday. Less things for you all to read.
Well, we would want something in writing in response.
Fair enough. Then I would do one before Monday. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Perfect.
I guess the commission wants it before Monday, correct?
We would like to be able to make a decision on it Monday. Like I said, I'm trying to, manage our time here. So we have 4 hours. So I feel like if we can just have all the information at the beginning of our meeting on Monday, we can make a decision on it and then cruise for the rest of the hearing.
I like that.
Okay.
Let's see if this schedule works. If Mr. Grether can get something to Ms. Cohen by 5 p.m. on Thursday, and Mr. Yu can get something in reply to Ms. Cohen by Saturday at 5 p.m.
Sure.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Are there any other matters before we conclude the hearing for this evening? Mr. Grether?
No.
Mr. Yu?
Thank you.
At this time, the hearing will conclude for the evening and continue on March 9th, 2026.